Hello and welcome to this webinar, How to Use AI to Navigate the Patent Landscape. The real-world example we'll be using today is 155 recently published applications in the brain-computer interface technology space. My name is Chris Frank. I'm the founder of DataFrank, and I will be walking you through using AI for the patent landscape. I'm a registered patent attorney. I have 20 years helping companies extract actionable insights from the patent landscape. And I started DataFrank under the premise that we need to use AI to extract these actionable insights. And I'm going to show you today how you can do that yourself. Here's our agenda. First and foremost, we're going to talk about the problem, which is filing patents into the patent minefield. And then we're going to talk about the new solution, which is using AI to help you navigate that patent minefield. And finally, we'll show you how to use this new technology for you to use it as a new way of doing things. Okay, let's get started. First of all, the problem. Here's the problem statement. You are a startup in the BCI, brain-computer interface space, and you have a patent filing budget. And your budget allows you to file somewhere between 5 and 10 new patent applications. And at about $20,000 per patent, that gives you a $100,000 to $200,000 budget for new patent filings. And that's not counting the applications that you've previously filed in prior years that this will be stacked on top of. Okay, so what are you filing into? You're filing into the existing BCI patent landscape. And just a simple kind of guesstimate of how big of a landscape this is, we can pull up patent class under the CPC code G06F3/015, which is described as input arrangements based on nervous system activity, which is the patent class for BCI technologies. And just that class alone, I'm sure there are other classes that are relevant as well, just that class alone has 16,164 patent documents that you will be filing your 5 to 10 new patent applications into. Just to give you a more clear picture on what that looks like, what I've taken here is just the published patent applications. I've taken out the issued patents. Just published patent applications by year, and you can see, and just for this class, you can see in 2015, things really started to take off. And in the last few years, it's been well over 1,000 patent filings per year. Where you see 2025, I took this at the end of June, so it's about halfway through the year, and it was at about 450 documents. So we can guess that every year we're going to be in this space, in a space that has about 1,000 new patent filings per year. So if we're filing 5 to 10 patent applications into a world of 1,000 patent applications, is that a good number? Is 5 a good number? Is 10 a good number? That's what we're going to find out as we look at this landscape a little bit here. So question for defining this problem: are you blindly walking into a patent minefield? If you're a startup, and not even a startup, but if you're looking to venture into a new area, the most valuable asset that you own is your intellectual property. In fact, it's the only asset you generally own because you don't have a product yet, you don't have customers yet, you don't have revenues yet. So how can you afford to blindly walk into the patent minefield when you spend this, let's call it the couple $100,000 on your patent filings, not knowing what it is that you're walking into? This becomes more interesting when you consider the fact that patents are actually free, publicly available documents, freely available. And yet, most people, especially most startups, just approach the patent minefield this way, blindly walking into it and filing, spending their money, filing their patent applications blindly into this patent minefield. Now, I have been speaking out against this practice for a long time. Starting back in 2016, I gave a talk at the New Product Development and Innovation Conference in Chicago on how to identify opportunities for innovation using the patent landscape. And I teach a capstone patent law and innovation course at the University of Minnesota, where I teach patent landscaping and using that to identify and pursue opportunities. And most recently in 2024, I gave a talk on white space patenting at the National Association of Patent Practitioners annual conference in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The message that I try to give everyone is the patent database is the world's most valuable database. It has the world's most valuable information in it. We can't afford not to understand what's going on out there. So if you just assume that a single patent application costs about $10,000 to file, and that's a low price for today's world, $10,000 just to file a patent application. That means every 100 patent applications that you look at is $1 million worth of information, right? And that's not counting the probably millions of dollars of development costs behind each of those patent applications. So this is in fact giving you what if it wasn't for our patent system, these would be trade secrets that you're able to access here. So this is in fact $1 million worth of information for every 100 patents that you look at, the world's most valuable information. Okay, I've been saying this, but then people say, well, how do I get this information? How do I access this information? And here was the problem prior to AI, is you had to hire somebody to go through whatever it might be, hundreds or thousands of patent documents for you. And it was an expensive and time-consuming endeavor. So you had to start off with just project scope. What companies do you want to look at? What classifications do you want to look at? What keywords do you want to have in there and not have in there? And once you've got that scope down, and you can imagine in corporate America, that's a 2 to 3 month project, just figuring out what scope you want to look at. Then you send this off to your patent research provider, and they're going to have a team of scientists, engineers, PhDs that are going to manually go through all of these patent documents and classify them and categorize them. And that's going to be generally a 3 to 6 month turnaround. And then you're going to get a deliverable in the form of an Excel spreadsheet and maybe a PowerPoint and maybe a report. And then someone like myself, well, I've done all of the steps of this process at different points in my career, but the main step where I come into play here is taking that deliverable, that giant Excel spreadsheet or PowerPoint or whatever it is, and getting the insights out of there in order to transfer that knowledge to the team of people that it can actually make decisions and take actions based on that information. So what do? I take that deliverable and I get the insights by the companies that we care about the most, the categories that we care about the most, and the things that are most in line with our strategy that we're going to care about the most. I gather those insights, put them together in a PowerPoint presentation of the sort that you'll see here today, and I transfer that knowledge over to the people that can do something with it. The leadership team, the patent team, the technology team, and the marketing team. And that is how we utilize the information in the patent landscape prior to AI. A 6 to 9 month project from engagement to completion at a cost of $20,000 to $50,000. So you can see why, as bad as it is to file blindly into the patent minefield, this was the standard practice, because as a practical matter, companies could not generally afford to do this either in resources or time or expenses. It only made sense really if you were in the world of filing somewhere in the line of 100 or multiples of 100s of patents per year. That's the only way you could really justify putting together an extensive landscape like this. All right, going back to my talks and telling everyone this is the most valuable information. You need to do this. You need to understand what's out there. The number one question that I got, the number one question I get from 2016 to the present for the last 10 years, people have been asking me, what if AI could do all of that for you? That slide I just showed you, I've been getting this question for the last 10 years. Now, in 2016, well, that was an innovation conference, so those are forward-thinking people, but I should also add some context here. The patent landscape that I was using as an example in 2016 was the Google or the Waymo self-driving car patent landscape. So it was a patent landscape about AI. I don't think they used the term AI at that time, but machine learning, neural networks, that sort of thing. So I kind of triggered it in their minds, but nonetheless, these are innovative people. I've been getting this question for 10 years. What if AI could do all those steps for you? Then that would open the doors to all of us being able to access this valuable information in the patent landscape. And isn't it great that now is that time? And I am the person to do it because I've had to think about that answer for 10 years. Every year, every presentation, I get that question and I refine my answer and I think about my answer. And I have, in fact, tried different tools, let's call it 3, 4, 5 years ago, that just weren't quite ready to take over. But now we finally have that ability. We finally do have the tools in place, the processes in place that can take over. So what happens if you can let AI do all of this work? What does our steps look like now? Now it comes down to just these 3 simple steps. Step 1, select your patent data set. So again, we can select our class, our keywords, our companies that we actually care about. We still have to decide how big of a data set. It's still expensive if you start looking at 16,000 patents at a time. But nonetheless, we can select our data set fairly easily, fairly efficiently. That's something we've always known how to do. And step number 2 is let AI do the work. And this is actually a very perfect use case for AI because it is an intelligence requiring step, but it's repetitive. It is feed this patent, tell me what problem it's addressing, tell me how it's solving that problem, repeat for the next one, repeat for the next one, repeat 100 times, repeat 1,000 times. It's a repetitive process, but it requires a level of intelligence that AI now appears to have the ability to perform at. And so it is a perfect use case for AI. So step 2, let AI do all of that boring work. And that used to take us 3 to 6 months of a team of PhDs. We can now do it. Just turn around. It's human in the loop still. So the turnaround time is I have to intervene at a couple of different steps that you'll see coming up in the presentation here. And then step 3, get your AI generated patent insights. As I mentioned, that was usually my job, is to turn that end product into insights to feed the team. Well, because I've been doing that a long time and I know how to use AI, the AI can do that for me and just give you that presentation for you to look at yourself. And that step is complete as well. So let's see what that looks like with our use case. The way that I've set it up for the AI processes, I've turned it into kind of 3 different types of packages. You have an explore package, which is what we'll use as an example today, which is let's just look at 100 or 200 patents and kind of get a sense for what's out there. Let's just explore what's out there in this world. The other one would be the survey package, which is typically most companies, this is all you need. If you can identify kind of like the 500, 1,000 most relevant patents by class, keyword, company, you're going to have pretty high level of confidence that you know what's out there and you're able to efficiently and effectively file your patents and build up an effective patent portfolio. Now there's a deep dive if you really want to go into really understanding the world at that next level, or if you're in a highly competitive IP space, you can go deeper than kind of those 1,000 documents. So we're in the explore space. Who's filing BCI patents in 2025? That's my query. Okay, so starting with that patent classification, 16,000 documents. I'm going to narrow it down. I just want 1 document per patent family, and I only want to look at the patents that were filed, or sorry, not even patents, just publications that were filed in the first 6 months of 2025. And then I'm going to limit them to the English ones so that my AI can read them. And I end up with a data set of 155 patent applications that have been filed in the first 6 months of 2025. So this is my explore data. So let's just see what's out there. Let's see who's filing, see what they're filing. I'm not even pretending that I have a product in mind. I just want to see what's out there in this interesting BCI space. Could be medical products, could be consumer products, probably a mix of both. Let's see what's out there. Okay. So that was step one. We have our data set, 155 documents. Let's not do anything and sit back and let AI do the work. So what is AI going to do for me? I'm going to feed it one patent at a time, and it's going to come up with a problem statement. It's going to look at that patent and say, what problem is being addressed here? And then it's going to come up with a solution statement. How does it appear that this patent is trying to solve that problem? And then secondarily, it's going to categorize. Yeah, this would actually be a separate step. It will first give you the problem and solution statements. And then once everything has that, it will use that to categorize and tag everything. But nonetheless, that's an AI step. The AI is going to categorize each of these patents based on its problem and solution statement, and it's going to tag them or subcategorize them as well. And in this case, I've decided also I have two separate groups of categories. I have an application category. So is it a medical application or a consumer application, that sort of a thing? Then I also have a technology category. Is it sensing or is it interpreting, and so on and so forth. So I actually have two different groups of categories and tags that I'm even using as well. So I just sit back and I let AI do all of that work for me and give me my problems, solutions, and categories. And then it doesn't end there. What else is AI good at? That's a repetitive step, but still involves some sort of intelligence, and that is summarizing data. So the fact that I have everything categorized and tagged now allows me to feed into the AI just that category or just that tag. So AI then can take that category and that tag and come up with insights that are specific there. And this is the kind of information that I used for the knowledge transfer to my team. This is what the team really cares about. And then they can dig deeper back into let's just say that in this category, there are 13 publications. They can dig into those 13 publications very easily if they want to go deeper from these insights. If these insights cause them to want to do a deeper dive into those 13 specific documents. But nonetheless, here's what we can get with our AI on the insight level. The key problems, what are the 3 or 4 key problems that AI can identify from this particular category? And also the key solutions, same thing. What are the 3 or 4 or 5 key solutions that everyone seems to be pursuing? And then finally, what are the key insights across the board? And the AI can give me these 3 different kind of boxes of insights for each category, for each tag. And it's in this report, I haven't gone on a company by company basis, but if I had a data set where I cared about looking at individual companies, I could also apply this same approach to the company as well, on the company level as well. Okay. So AI doing all of this work for me. Now all I have to do is look at it and decide what action my team might want to take. All right, so here we go. We have our AI generated patent insights. Now we can start exploring this data that AI has prepared for us. So first off, again, what we're doing here, we just wanted to see what has been filed in the BCI space in the last 6 months. And just looking at the companies and the number of filings per company, we can get a pretty fast idea of, if you remember at the beginning, should I file 5 patents or should I file 10 patents? And if you look here in 6 months, in a 6-month time period, Meta has filed 18. So let's just double that number. That means they're gonna be on pace to file somewhere around 40 patents in this space. Snap has filed 6, and this is only 6 months of data, so they're going to file somewhere around 10. So do I need, and Apple as well. So do I need to file 10? Do I need to be on par with Apple and Snap? Or am I okay filing 5? It looks like other than the top maybe 4 or 5 companies here, I could get away with probably filing 5, and I'll be reasonably within the same filing parameters as almost everybody else out here, other than those billion-dollar companies. So, again, not even looking at any insights, just having some numbers to kind of to tell myself. The good news is I don't need to worry about filing 20 patents. That's a good thing to find out from just this high level here. All right, here is what it looks like when AI lays out all of these categories for me. And here I just have the categorized by application. So what I have here, we have some things flagged. We have high activity zones and invisible opportunity zones. Okay, what does this mean? A high activity zone, just based upon patent activity, is the zone that has the highest activity in it. It is what it says. So in this case, device control. So this should not come as a surprise when we're talking about BCI. Is device control is probably going to be an area of high activity. 40 patent applications out of our whole data set of 155. Now, what does it mean when we see a high activity zone that we probably actually care about? We probably intend to file patents here ourselves. How scared should we be? What I like to tell people in all of my presentations that I've given on the patent landscape, a high activity zone, don't be afraid. What that means is, number one, it's an important problem, and that's why everybody's filing there. But number two, it's probably a very difficult problem to solve. And that's why there's a lot of patent applications, because there's a lot of different approaches to solve it, and there might be just different ways of solving it for different market segments or different use cases. So the fact that there's a lot of patent filings does not mean that the problem has been solved. It usually means that the problem has not been solved and everyone is throwing everything that they can against the wall just in case it sticks, because it is important. It is that important of a problem to solve, but is usually a sign, especially when it's this recent of patent activity. This is all in the last 6 months, 40 patent applications. That means they are trying really hard to solve the problem. And if you're trying to solve the problem as well, you need to get your patent filings in there as fast as you can. Okay, so you want to understand, if you're in a high activity zone, that's where you want to focus your filing to make sure that the solution space that you're going after is going to be owned by you, protected by you, before somebody else can get to it. The second group is the invisible opportunity zones. These are the zones that have activity in them, which means people are thinking that these are important areas, but they aren't putting all of the resources into them like they are in the high activity zones. These are the zones that you can own, you can dominate if it's important to you, and you see that as the emerging technology, or the space where you have a real value add in the marketplace. These are the ones where you might want to make that second, again, if we're filing 10 patent applications, half of them probably go into the high activity zone, and the other half into the invisible opportunity zones, unless we have other places that we deem important. The invisible opportunity zones is where you can really be the leader in that space, because others have to focus on device control. They can't afford, and they're not as focused because they don't understand the patent landscape. They don't understand filing 1 or 2 or 3 extra patents, how much more ability that gives them to control that space, because they don't know what this invisible opportunity space looks like, because they haven't looked at the patent landscape to the level that you have. So this is your chance to own that space. Okay, so our AI has allowed us to get this chart with minimal work, minimal expense, and we now have the ability to decide where we want to file those 5 or 10 patents and why we want to file them in those spaces. All right, and then here's an example of the insights. Let's just say, which one did I choose here? Device, yeah, so this is device control. So this is the high activity space. I feed this into the AI and it gives me the insights. What are the key problems? So I'll just go through the top level ones that we have here. The key problems: signal accuracy and reliability. 16 of the patents are focused on this. Environmental interference, baseline calibration challenges, signal detection quality, and measurement accuracy issues. So that's one category of problems. So now again, high activity area, 40 publications, 16 of them are addressing signal accuracy and reliability. If you're addressing that same problem, you need to make sure you get your patent filings in there. There are other problems that are being addressed: equipment usability gaps, physical interaction limitations, and real-time processing. So those are other problems that you may or may not care about. And depending if you care about them, you want to follow in them sooner rather than later. But this really breaks down the device control area into smaller segments as well for you to think about. Key solutions. Let's just look at the top one. Not a surprise. AI, machine learning solutions, neural networks, pattern recognition algorithms, intelligent signal interpretation, and automated classification systems. People are solving these device control problems with AI in 2025. Big surprise, right? Now let's go over to the key insights. Here's what the AI tells me. The AI revolution strategy. AI, machine learning systems, are being used to overcome dominant signal accuracy problems. Now, AI said this. This is great. This tells you how good the AI is at catching these insights. The industry chose intelligent interpretation over hardware perfection as a primary strategy. Isn't that interesting? Rather than coming up with better sensing technologies, better sensors, more accurate sensors, I've chosen to have whatever the ability of the current sensors are, I'm going to just accept it as is, and I hope that I can solve the shortcomings of the sensors with AI. Okay, so the AI that I used for the patent landscape came up with that AI related insight. Okay, isn't that interesting? That is fantastic. That's a great indication of the type of insights that you can get from just feeding in one category at a time into the AI model to get your patent landscape insights. All right, next one. Here we're looking at an activity space, EMG. So again, we can see the key companies that we're up against. Meta has 4 patents in this space. So how interesting would it be for you if you care about EMG to know that, oh gosh, I didn't realize that I'm competing with Meta. I'm doing a medical device that uses EMG, but I'm competing with Meta, who I assume is doing a consumer application, but nonetheless, they've got the patent filing budget that I don't have. I need to think about what that means for what I file in this EMG space. Okay, so just knowing who else is out there can inform your decisions as well. So key problems: medical equipment practicality, signal accuracy and interpretation, again, gesture recognition and control, and speech detection. Those are the key problems. What are the key solutions? Wearable integration solutions. If I'm doing a wearable, I want to know, am I competing with Meta in this space? Because that's going to affect my patent decisions as well. Again, we have AI machine learning solutions, gesture and pattern recognition, and signal processing. And then in this case, we have the key insight from our AI generated insights here is there's a consumer integration focus. 40% of the solutions embed EMG in clothing and wearables, okay? And they're citing problems with medical equipment practicality. So we're taking, even in the medical equipment world, it's just too stringent. The requirements are too strict. We need to have easy embeddable EMG sensing in clothing and wearables. So another interesting insight, depending on what it is your application, this may or may not matter to you, because again, we have several different categories. You can pick and choose which categories actually are important to you, and you can ignore the ones that aren't important to you. If I don't care about EMG, then I don't care about the fact that Meta is in this space, right? I can make that decision. Okay. So backing out, kind of what I just said, if I decide, the BCI technology, I wanted to get a sense of what's out there, but really what I care about is device control, communication aids, and attention monitoring. Well, now I know when I file my 5 or 10 patent applications, I need to think very hard about device control to make sure that I'm being very aggressive. Communication aids, I need to decide based on what's out there, how aggressive I need to be, how much ownership I can take of that hidden opportunity, invisible opportunity space. And then if attention monitoring is something I'm after, wow, I can be in really good shape if I file a couple patents in that space as well, right? So now I start to feel pretty comfortable whether I go with 5 patent filings or 10 patent filings, I feel fairly comfortable knowing what it is that I'm up against and why I'm filing only one or why I'm filing two in a particular category, right? So I'm able to make a lot better decisions and a lot more intentional filings by understanding what it is that I see out here. Okay, so what's happened here? We've got a new technology. We now have a new way of doing things. Instead of walking blindly into the patent minefield, just by looking at, remember, we have 16,000 documents in this patent class, right? There's a whole bunch of things we haven't seen, but just by looking at, 155 patents that publications we've looked at here, we've got a pretty high resolution understanding of what's going on, specifically what's going on in the last 6 months and what areas people are filing and who's filing. And then I have a pretty good sense already, just from a sample size of 155 documents, of how comfortable I am filing 5 or 10 patents. Filing that into a world of 16,000 patents didn't sound like such a good idea. But now looking at this patent data set, knowing that this is what happens in a 6-month period, my 5 or 10 make sense. They make logical sense to fit into this world of what's going to end up being 1,000 patents filed. My 5 or 10 filings make logical sense. It's a reasonable number for a startup like me with kind of 3 areas that I care about, and understanding who's filing there and what the opportunities are. Okay, so just the level of confidence allows me to be more intelligent about how it is that I'm going to file my patent applications here, and more confident about it. All right, so how do you get started doing this? It's as simple as what I just showed you. I offer 3 different packages. You can start with package number 1, explore. Let's see what's out there, and looking at 100 or 200 patents. You can take that information and apply it to your package number 2 or package number 3 data, a larger data set. You even can apply your costs towards reducing the price of those data sets as well, because you want to start easy, get a sense of what's out there. And if you need to dig deeper, you need to look at 500 documents, you need to look at 1,000 documents, you need to look deeper at this company or this keyword or that classification. You can just go stepwise and you get your results with generally a 5 to 10 day turnaround. What used to be a 6-month project, it's now, whatever months it used to take, turn that into days with AI. And it's only because I have to go step by step and turn it on and turn it off for these different steps, these problem solution steps. That's one step. Categorization, that's another step. Insights, that's another step. And I have to do them sequentially because I have to feed it in the correct prompts that generally the customer wants to have as an input to those prompts. And that is the only thing that slows us down, is getting those prompts together for each of those steps. Okay. So at the end of the day, what are we doing here? Why are we using AI? The patent landscape is the most valuable information out there. Every 100 patents is $1 million worth of information. How can you afford not to know what it is that's out there? When a patent is your most valuable asset, you can understand where it is where you should file and why, right? So to take the concept of property, you don't want to buy a house if you don't know what neighborhood it's in and what street it's on. The same should apply with intellectual property. You want to know the world that it's in, the landscape that it's in, and the category that it's in, so that you can make the right decision about your investment. Should I invest in that patent, in that category, in that landscape, or not? How much should I invest? How many patents should I file? When and where and why? Okay, so what you want to do is understand that patent landscape so you can create your own winning patent strategy that protects what matters most to your customers and to your business, so that you have the opportunity to make your decisions with full patent intelligence behind them. All right, well, that takes me to the end of this presentation. Thank you very much for letting me walk you through this and seeing the advantages of using AI to understand the patent landscape. I showed you a couple of different examples of the BCI patent landscape, but if you want to see that full PowerPoint presentation going on gives you the insights on a category by category basis. Go ahead, and it should be, wherever it is that I posted this video, there should be a link below where you can get access to that full executive level PDF report. And you can see what it looks like on a category by category basis, what those insights look like for the BCI patent landscape. My name is Chris Frank. I'm the founder of DataFrank. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and feel free to reach out for questions about the patent landscape, and visit me at datafrank.ai. Thank you very much.